we self-manipulate ourselves to feel some things in a negative way, but also the society and the social media and all that stuff also kind of feel like we're being manipulated by ourselves and everyone else. And yeah, that kind of frustrates me that you can't kind of control your own feelings anymore. Everything is up for grabs.
Welcome to the Dreams of Consciousness podcast. If you'd be so kind, would the two of you mind introducing yourselves?
My name is Malthe Tiufkær. I play bass in the Danish band Orm.
Yeah, and I'm Adam. I'm the drummer in the Danish black metal band Warm.
So, Adam, you've been on the podcast once before. Back in 2022, we spoke about your previous album, Intet, Altet.
Yep.
You know, previously you described Orm as having progressive elements and having an epic scope. Would you say that's still true, or do you think that things have changed slightly with this latest album?
I would say that's still true. So the new album has shorter songs, so from 6 to 12 minutes or something. And before they were these very long songs. But it's still, I think, pretty epic in its kind of sound, and definitely still progressive. So cut a little bit down on the more like calm elements, but there's quite a lot of what you would typically associate with progressive music in terms of weird song structure and rhythms and yeah, all that stuff, and unconventional kind of songwriting. So I think the core is still there, definitely.
Malthe, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, one of my friends told me that we are using way less of the major chords on the new album, which I didn't really think about before. So it's a more, in that way, more darker album, I would say. So the epicness from the major chords, sometimes from Intet, Altet, you don't see that on the new album in the same way as Adam just said.
So, Adam, during the previous podcast we did together, we had an in-depth chat about the history of the band, what brought you guys together, as well as the way you write songs. One thing that came up was the way that you guys utilize a whiteboard in your rehearsal space to keep track of your song structures and your compositions. Is that still true? Do you still write songs in that way?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So when we write the songs, sometimes also when we rehearse them, we'll write notes on our whiteboard in order to keep all this stuff in our head. Sometimes. So on the previous album, the sheer length of the songs kind of necessitated it. On this new album, it's more like some of the pieces are a bit intricate and has a lot of changing parts, moving parts. So to keep all that stuff in our heads, it can be a good tool to just write it down on a whiteboard.
It's interesting because I always ask bands about how they compose songs and how they arrange songs, you know, their songwriting process, and the whiteboard stuck out to me because I've heard very few bands mention that as a tool in their songwriting, and it seemed like such a practical solution to keeping track of things. Like I remember, you know, it's been more than 20 years since I actually worked with other people in terms of writing songs, but you know, there would always be like some kind of, you know, somebody would forget that you're supposed to play the part 4 times instead of 2 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, or like come back to the Doom riff or whatever. And it seemed like a whiteboard is such an easy solution to those problems.
It's a necessity.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it because it also strikes a nice balance. So in these times, a lot of my musician colleagues and stuff, they mostly write music on a computer, basically. So they have maybe a guitar or a keyboard or whatever, and they do everything in Logic or something, and everything is laid out, and then they just send it back and forth, basically. And that's like a very structured way to write music, and everything is there all the time. And that's very smart. But also, you lose kind of the togetherness, I think, of writing in a rehearsal space. But we still want to keep track of that stuff. So I think a whiteboard is a very practical and like low tech, solution.
Yeah. It's worth mentioning also that we have the opportunity to record our own demos in a pretty good, sound. So whatever we put up on the whiteboard, we are actually capable of recording that instead of doing the whole, record the guitar, record the drums, yada, yada. So we record it live and then listen to it until the next time we rehearse, and then, change the whiteboard instead of changing the recording, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also nice to have like a visual component to your songwriting, as opposed to just like looking at the waveform or looking at the drum patterns or whatever. Like, I think it goes back to almost like a music theory kind of feeling, or even like tablatures or notations to see everything mapped out. Do you guys have a music school background? Did you guys study music or anything like that?
I did. I have what do you call it? Like a college degree-ish music education. Yeah, so I'm using that all the time when writing music, both for Orm and for other projects I'm invested in.
Yeah, but Malthe is actually the only guy with like a formal education. So I have had music in high school, and I know the basics, but I'm definitely no theoretician in terms of music, and neither are the other two.
Malthe, would you say that your music education comes into play when you guys are arranging songs? Like, do you lean on theory or anything like that? I mean, you mentioned the minor key that you guys are using on this latest album. Is that something that you guys draw from?
Actually, there are a lot of sequences on the new album where the melody on the guitar is actually the same that gets played, but the bass is switching together with the rhythm guitar. And that's something we thought of in order to make it more dynamic. And that was some additions I took from my theory that, okay, if you want to make this more like a uplifting kind of place in the song or whatever, we could just change the bass chords, like the bass notes, and it's becoming dynamic that way through. So yeah, that's how we used it on the new album. And then writing notes for violins and trumpets and stuff like that is also like not a piece of cake, but it's something that I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think on their previous album, Malthe wasn't part of Worm. He was just a session bassist later on, but he joined. And for this new album, I personally, I think it's been very cool that he has a more formal background in music, and he has some other views and some other tricks up his sleeve compared to the more like intuitionistic way we've otherwise written stuff. So I think it's a very nice addition.
It's also worth mentioning that I'm an educated guitarist, not a bass player. So I'm playing with two other guitarists in this band, and I know what they kind of want from the bass, which is also a really nice dynamic in a guitar-heavy band like Worm.
Adam, the last time we spoke, you were coming out of this pandemic period in which you guys wrote the previous album. Do you want to catch listeners up on what you guys have been doing since then? Since 2022?
Oh, yes. And then I just have to remember previous 3.5 years. I mean, we've been playing a lot of shows, and we played, I think, since 2022, we played the Danish radio concert hall with a bunch of violins, strings and trumpets and all that stuff. So we did some pretty big kind of set pieces since then, on top of shows in Denmark and the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
And we released also a single called Smør last year, I think, yeah. And now, of course, the new album, GULD. And we're playing, to celebrate its release, 3 also very big set piece concerts in Copenhagen. End of October.
Malthe, you mentioned that on the last album you were just a session bassist.
Yeah.
Was that the first album that you performed with Orm?
Yeah, like I didn't record any of the bass. It was Thijs, the other guitarist, who recorded it. But I played together with Orm as a stand-in for a concert, I think, but because of the pandemic, it got cancelled. But we got to rehearse a lot beforehand, so we had it fresh in memory, you know. So when everything started to open up again, it was just to keep on going with the new concerts that was added to the calendar. And that was also the release concert for Intet, Altet. I think the first concert I ever played was at Copenhagen, where we played one of the new songs that didn't even was mixed yet. So that was a big one for me. But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, that was a baptism in fire for you.
Yeah. That was actually being in the rehearsal room with the whiteboard and just, keep nagging them like, hey, we have to do this again because it wasn't recorded at the time. So, well, it was recorded, but in bits. So it was a 20-minute song I had to learn. Yeah. But it was great fun. Like, and to be fair, that's how we got to know each other better than we did. And decided that, okay, I should probably be a session bass player on the upcoming tour. And then just got asked to be part of it after that, which I obviously was really happy to do.
Malthe, can you tell me a little bit about how you guys met each other and how you ended up joining the band first as a session player and then later as a full-time contributing member?
Yeah, sure. With my other band, Wulfas, it's a black metal duo from Denmark as well. We had to record an EP, and because he's also called Simon, but he knew Simon from Orm from way back. He knew actually all the other guys. He thought that it might be a good idea to just record in that studio, like Orm's rehearsal space, Simon's studio. So that's how I met Simon, and I guess because personalities and everything we were like on the same vibe together, and I just moved to Copenhagen where Orm is based. So it was natural for me to just start hanging out with Simon, and yeah, I guess the metal scene in Denmark isn't that big, so I started to bump into a lot of people and made a lot of new friends that way. And I think because I also, in a amateur way, but I edit movies and record like small snippets and take pictures like as a hobby, So I went together with Orm on some concerts, yeah, to just document that, and that was just super fun. Got to learn all the band members that way. And after Troels stopped, the rest of the story, I just got asked if I could do this one show because, yeah, I think it's really not easy to rehearse, but I did have the time at that point to just rehearse at home all the time. So I guess I was the right choice on a personal and professional level. Yeah.
Adam, do you want to say why Malthe was the right guy for the job?
So I
is that an awkward question?
no. I didn't really know Malthe actually before he joined because I know a new Simon who was the drummer of Wulfas, as Malthe mentioned, but I think you were a guitar tech when we played Roskilde Summer Days a long time ago. But back then I had a small baby child, which I do again now. So I was basically just trying to sleep every second. If I wasn't playing drums, I just wanted to sleep. So I didn't really talk about it. Yeah, so the other guys recommended him, and he joined us for this show at Copenhagen, and I mean, Malthe and I, we have a lot in common, so I like him a lot as a friend, and he's a very skilled guitarist.
Thank you.
And he's also become a skilled bassist, I think, over the years now. So I think he's a great fit for Orm. I mean, he's bald, of course, like the rest of us, and
that's a plus.
Yeah.
Maybe I should send in a resume then.
Oh yeah.
Oh. I think the time zone difference may be a challenge.
So, as Adam mentioned, Orm will be releasing a new album at the end of October called GULD through Interdisciplinarian Records.
Indeed.
Adam, you spoke a little bit about what makes this album different in terms of the song lengths. Would you say this is the fastest or the most brutal Orm record?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, at least since our first record. So the last two ones have been a bit more in the kind of more post metal in a way, but still have these more classic black metal and other just heavy metal elements, I guess. But yeah, the new one is a bit more direct, a bit more brutal, I guess you can call that, more aggressive at least. Yeah. So the last two albums, also lyrically, wasn't so much about being, angry or anything. It was more about existential, philosophical reflections and all that stuff. Also a suicide, of course, but otherwise more sad. And this new one, it's a bit more angry, I guess. Yeah, aggressive.
Is there a reason why you guys moved in this direction away from the more epic scope that you had on previous albums to this more direct, almost like Black Death or Death Thrash kind of sound?
I mean, we talked about it actually after in Intet, and also when we did Slur, this single here, that's Intet, it was like a huge deal. It was this double album with these long, big, epic songs. And I don't think we wanted to do that again, basically, because that would just be repeating ourselves. And we didn't want to go even further in that direction and make a quadruple album with even longer songs. That seemed absurd. So instead, we chose to kind of go the other way, go back to some shorter songs and try and focus less on the epic scope and these very long compositions, and instead take a more kind of micro perspective on each individual riff, and like the melodies and hooks, and spend a lot of time making those razor sharp, basically. Yeah, to go back, and also because it's fun. I think it'll be primarily write music for our own amusement in a way. So we felt like, let's go back and do something more straightforward, but still, yeah, fun to play and fun to listen to, and just like more aggressive. I think, at least personally, I had some aggressions to get out as well. So that's good for me.
Malthe, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would say that Simon is really good at just dropping everything and then start from scratch. Like new year, new me kind of thing, which I really admire. So instead of being in the old like record track kind of way, it was like definitely an agreement. But yeah, that's something I wanted to add to this. That he's just really good at like, okay, we're gonna do new stuff, new sound, new, less of this, more of that kind of thing. And he's writing like almost all of the riffs. We have contributed a bit more, the three of us, but so that's also a dynamic that's different from the other albums. I think I haven't been part of the writing process of the other albums, but yeah. So yeah, that's admirable at least, and I think it's also for Orm in general to take the chances and make long songs, and do that twice with great receptions. And so that's really a fun part about playing with Orm.
Adam, you mentioned that this is an angrier record. Do you mean that lyrically as well as musically? Like, do you feel like the lyrics are angrier this time around?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. So I think both the music and the lyrics are kind of more aggressive than the last two records.
Mm.
And that fits well together, I think.
Do you want to talk about some of the lyrical themes on this album? Is there an overarching concept that links all the songs together?
There is kind of, yeah. So each song kind of has a theme. It explores some kind of self-destructive, negative emotion kind of spiral thing that we see as being prevalent in kind of our lives as human beings in the modern society. So it's mostly from my perspective. So it's not like I didn't write all the lyrics, but we wrote them more or less together. But I did write a lot of the bass for some of these songs lyrically. So I kind of pulled from frustration with some of the way that I behave and the ones around me behave, and get kind of caught in traps of different kind of emotional behavior, both in terms of like we self-manipulate ourselves to feel some things in a negative way, but also the society and the social media and all that stuff also kind of feel like we're being manipulated by ourselves and everyone else. And yeah, that kind of frustrates me, that you can't have your own, you can't kind of control your own feelings anymore. Everything is up for grabs. So it's kind of a mixed bag of different things that frustrate me. And then there's a kind of the narrative frame is from some of these kind of fairy tales and folklores that I've been reading meanwhile, which also are often about someone having some repressed or negative emotions and basically abusing trust or other gifts that they've been given, and then paying the price in the end, some terrible tragedy consequence.
drummer, was this an album in which you really pushed yourself in terms of the blast and maybe some of the techniques that you use?
Yeah, both yes and no. So definitely there are some faster pieces and some a bit more complicated kind of rhythms.
As a part, we actually just skipped like 2 days before putting it on the record because it was too fast to be playing both on like on all instruments. I remember. So definitely that was that first one.
Yeah, we cut out a bit of stuff that was it was too ridiculous.
Why too ridiculous? Do you feel like it doesn't fit the feeling of Orm?
Yeah, I think it didn't really also, so we cut out a few pieces from the different songs at the very last minute because they just didn't fit in. And there was a part that was very extreme fast and it didn't fit in for various reasons, but also like we're not a band that plays these extreme BPMs, kind of fitting that in the middle of everything kind of just felt weird. And also, yeah. But I've definitely pushed myself, but I do that for every album. I will have to say, it's always, I give it 100%.
And your guitarist, Simon, recorded the album.
Oh, yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah, technically, he wrote most of as he always does, most of the riffs, or at least their initial forms. So he's kind of the main riff writer. But I think Thijs, he recorded most of the guitars, not all, but he recorded most of it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Does Thijs have his own studio, or did you guys do it in your rehearsal space?
In our rehearsal space.
Okay, cool. The drums also?
The drums we recorded in this other studio called Black Tornado Studio.
Okay, so basically the same place you recorded the last album.
Yeah. So, but this time around was also slightly different. So on Intet, Altet, we kind of recorded everything live, or not everything, but most of like the fundamental tracks. This time around, we took a more traditional layer cake approach.
In terms of the production, the finished sound of the album, were you guys aiming for something specific? Did you want this to be less of the atmospheric sound that you guys had before?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit drier?
Yeah, so I think it's a lot drier, especially the guitar sound has a lot more dryness and attack to it. And I think it's very cool because you can really hear every kind of stroke on the guitars and it gives a lot more kind of aggression. So if you listen to most other black metal albums, it will have this very kind of reverby, muddy guitar tone, which is cool, of course, but with the kinds of riffs we're playing right now on this album, it fits better with a drier guitar. And it also, I think it's a bold move also by the guitarists because it means you can hear also mistakes or you have to be extra tight basically. So this other black metal sound is very forgiving. I remember seeing so many black metal bands on stage and the drummers just like going nuts. And then the guitarists are just like walking in the park because whatever, no one can hear if they are actually tremolo picking in time or it's just...
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but this time around, they can't do that, so...
Yeah. I mean, you can really hear the technique and, how tight the palm muting is and stuff like that. Yeah, it's almost like an old, 90s death metal album or something like that with the riffing style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny actually, because one of my friends, he heard the album and he said that it gave him some old school death metal vibes, in the sound at least. But so that's nice to hear again from someone else.
Do you want to say anything about Brad Boatwright, who mastered the album?
just a genius. He made it in like no time and sounded great in the first try. So
Yeah,
definitely recommend him.
Yeah, he's just a pro, basically. Completely, everything was just on track, and yeah, he just did everything perfectly.
So, do you guys have any plans as far as live dates or tours or anything like that? You mentioned you'll be playing some shows in Denmark.
Yeah, so we'll be playing 3 shows in Denmark, which is celebrating the release of the album, but also our 10-year anniversary, basically. So it's like 3 shows back to back in the same venue, and the venue has 3 stages: a tiny one, a medium one, and a huge one. So we'll be playing first the tiny one, then the medium, and then the big one. And we'll bring the strings and trumpets and all that stuff from the other kind of concert hall shows we've done through the years. So it's going to be a big event. But after that, we don't have a lot of other shows, basically, because we'll just reevaluate our situation. All of us being kind of family men. We have a lot of other stuff that we've been deprioritizing to get this album over the edge. So yeah, we'll be regrouping, and maybe we'll be out again in 2026, or who knows.
So, by the time people hear this episode, GULD will be out through Indisciplinarian Records. Adam, please tell everyone how they can order the album. What's the best way to get it?
Yes, so you can order the album from Indisciplinarian's webshop at indisciplinarian.com. We'll also be selling it online from our own webshop, which is at shop.ormband.dk, where we'll also be releasing a bunch of new merch and other things. And you can also buy the old albums from there. You can, of course, also listen to it on all the streaming services and on Bandcamp and all that stuff that you would expect. And yeah, also please follow us on whatever social media thing, Facebook or Instagram. I don't remember our tags, but I think you can find us.
Do you want to say anything about the vinyl versions that Indisciplinarian is putting out? I believe there are 3 versions, right?
Yeah, there are 3 versions. So one is this, I think it's called red gold, where the vinyl itself has this kind of gold finish. It's pretty cool. I think that's already sold out on the pre-orders, but we'll be bringing some from our shows, and if there are any left, we'll be selling them also from our own web shop. And then there's the standard black one for people who like it just the way vinyl was originally thought. And then there's a bio white, so that's a white vinyl made from bio organic something vinyl, I guess. Yeah.
So like a sustainable version of vinyl, something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. The last time we spoke, you spoke about how you feel the vinyl is the preferred way that you want people to experience the album. Is that true for this as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of vinyl, even if I myself do not often enough get time to sit down and put on a record. I definitely think it just beckons you more to pay attention instead of, sitting and doom scrolling something and listening with a half an ear to some kind of noise. So as a musician, that's definitely the way I would prefer that people listen to our music. But everyone is, of course, free to do whatever. And as I mentioned, I do it sometimes, but it's hard sometimes if you're busy to prioritize taking 45 minutes out when you have children screaming in your ear anyway. So
Right. Adam, it was really good catching up with you. Is there anything else you want to say? Anything else you want to tell the listeners? Anything else you want to say about the 10th anniversary?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say, of course, about the 10th anniversary. I'm super happy that 10 years on, we're still going strong. I've played with these guys since 2008, so it's kind of amazing that we are still even together, I think. But mostly I want to tell people to listen to the new record and give it a real chance. It's something different. We don't want to repeat ourselves, and we have not done so. And I'm sure some people are gonna hate it because it's quite different from what we have before. But I think it's really cool. We have done kind of the opposite of selling out, I think, and I like that. We've sold in. So everyone, I think, should give it a real chance. There's a lot of blood and sweat and tears gone into this album, literally. So I hope it will resonate with someone.
Very cool.
That's it.
Tack.
Selv tak.